Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Sydney Decker, Ayurveda health counselor, intuitive healer, and author. And she's also a podcast host of The Goddess and the Medicine Women. And she's also author of Cleanse Your Energy. So we'll be talking about a lot of stuff on Ayurveda, a lot of stuff about cleansing energy. Welcome to the show, Sydney.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited
You
to be
are
here.
you are welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, and welcome. India. Ayurveda is so connected to India, and
Yes.
welcome. And I'm sure a lot of people, not just in India but also outside, will be learning a lot about these things from you. Okay. So my first question to you, Sydney, is to ask. This is something Ayurveda is something from this part of the world that I am in India and this part. So how did this Ayurveda reach to you? Did Ayurveda come to you or did you go to Ayurveda?
Love that question. So Ayurveda came to me. So Ayurveda found me. I had just gotten my bachelor's degree in psychology at Duquesne, which is a school that is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is where I'm located. And I was looking for a job outside of school. I was working in the psychology area. I was working with children that had autism as a TSS, a therapeutic support staff member. But I was looking for another job because I've always been very interested in healing and holistic healing. And there was, luckily, in Pittsburgh, a Ayurveda center that was looking for bodywork technicians. So I researched Ayurveda and I fell in love with it immediately. I just was like, this is exactly who I feel I am. I felt so in alignment with the science behind it, the medicine behind it, the history behind it. So I went and I got a job at the Ayurveda Center that was in Robinson in just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I started studying, and that was back in 2015. And then I opened my own Ayurveda practice in 2017. And ever since then, it's just Ayurveda has been helping me to help other people on their healing paths. I've healed so much, and I love seeing clients heal from it. And yeah, it's amazing to me because my teacher did say to me at one point, Ayurveda picks its practitioners. So I felt like it picked me, and it's just amazing.
Absolutely amazing and amazing story indeed. But one thing is is I wanted to understand is that how do you understand Ayurveda? Some so most more than 3,000 years old system of medicine, you can say, a natural system of medicine. So how do you understand, and how would you help others understand, especially in today's time? Even medicine is being discovered by artificial intelligence. One of the medicines have recently, so that's a good part of the western sort of a medicine, or the English sort of medicine, or the modern medicine as we can call it. In this perspective, how would you explain Ayurveda? How do you understand Ayurveda, so that people get to understand it the most authentic way that it is, and go to it because of its natural system of being a natural system of medicine?
Yeah. So that's a really great question. I feel like, honestly, Ayurveda has helped me to better understand myself. So before I found Ayurveda, I struggled a lot with anxiety and depression. I had sinus issues all the time. I was getting upper respiratory infections almost every single year, missing school, missing classes. I just was not doing well. And I would go and I would always be prescribed antibiotics, and I would be put on different types of medications, which does work for some people, but for me, it wasn't helping me. And I kind of felt stuck, and I felt very boxed into my healing process, and I felt very out of control because I was always giving someone else power over me to heal me, and to find some little thing. If I just take a pill, then I will feel better. And I just feel like as human beings, we're born into this planet with our body grows as a fetus. You know what I mean? Like our mother grows us in her uterus. Like it's it's a profound thing. So why is it that when we get born here, do we need to rely on some type of artificial pill or synthetic pill or something outside of ourselves? So I got very curious about my own healing in college, and I started to practice things like gratitude, meditation, yoga, and I found that that started to really help me. And then after I graduated, I got outside of school and I was working at the Ayurveda Center. I was seeing how so many people were just coming in for these rejuvenation panchakarma therapies. They were coming in for the Ayurvedic body work. They were following particular diets. They were using herbs. They were really tapping in and learning about their mind body type. And so I started to do that for myself. So I started to get to understand my mind body type. I got to understand my dosha, my elements, what makes my body work and what makes my body get off balance. So, like for me, if I eat a lot of heavy, greasy foods, I'm going to be more depressed because I have more kapha energy in my system. So it's going to bog me down and it's going to make me feel very low energy. And so if I start to eat more things like salads and things that are like lighter, like soups and teas, I tend to feel a lot better and I feel a lot lighter because that helps to lighten up my already kind of dense earth quality that I carry around with me a lot. So it just really started to give me permission to honestly understand myself. So I understand Ayurveda as it's a route to your own self healing. So it gives you the power over your own mind body type, over your function as a human being, and it helps you to understand how to bring yourself into balance without needing to overly give away your power for your healing or to I guess the biggest thing that I like to tell my clients is healing takes responsibility and it takes your personal responsibility. And I feel like Ayurveda gave me that personal responsibility back and it gave me such empowerment and such a way of living life in my own terms that now I barely ever honestly get sick. Like I haven't had a respiratory infection or an ear infection. I used to get them every single year since I was I want to say 6 until I was 21. And now I am 30 and I've not had an ear infection, seriously, since I've been practicing Ayurveda. So I understand Ayurveda as it helps me to understand myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well put, Sydney. And so, what do clients come to you for in terms of Ayurveda? What do they look for themselves from you and from Ayurveda? And how do you tell them about what you tell them?
Yeah. So I think a lot of my clients come to me with similar things that I first started out with. First and foremost, wanting to know what to eat that's going to work for their body, because so much of before, I guess, like COVID, not so many people were involved in Ayurveda, but after everything that took place with COVID the last 3 years, more people want to know what to eat so that way they can be healthier because there's a lot of information coming out there about like you are what you eat, right? So but particularly a lot of people are wanting to know the Ayurvedic way of eating because it's way more in alignment with their body. So they really want to know what to eat. They want to know what herbs. A lot of people and clients are looking for like particular recipes to follow. So I'll give you like particular recipes to follow that works with your mind body type and your dosha. I'm also getting a lot of clients who are wondering about panchakarma, which is the full body detox cleanses that I do that you come and see me consistently for like several days. So I do right now, since it's just me, I do 3 to 5 day panchakarmas. So you would come to see me 3 days or 5 days consecutively. And that's where we do the full body cleanse. You get a abhyanga every day, which is the oil massage. You get the shirodhara, you get the herbs, you get all those things, which people really are looking for, those total body cleanses. So many people are really looking to take their health back into their own hands. So they're looking for ways to have someone guide them to do that. And they're starting to get a little like take steps away from medication. So a lot of people don't want to be on medication for the rest of their life anymore. So they're asking ways in which like how do I help myself because this isn't working for me anymore either. So it's very interesting. I think I tend to work with a lot of clients that I resonate with via my own personal journey. But I mean, I have people who have I get a lot of women who have thyroid issues. So I working with a lot of like hormone balancing. I have people who have issues with anxiety, depression, wanting to lose weight, but I don't really particularly focus on helping people just lose weight. I help them to understand why that weight issue started in the first place, and then how we can lovingly embrace body positivity and also help to like let go of the ama and the toxins that they've been carrying. So I don't like to make anyone feel bad about their body or anything like that. I like to help them embrace their body in that way through the cleanses. um, I've a lot of people too have brought up how the Kardashians, I guess, were doing the panchakarma. So I've been getting questions about that. So I mean, that's good. It's getting people curious. So yeah, I mean, I work with a wide variety of clients with a spectrum of things that they're looking to um, move away from, but mostly it's really helping them to feel good about the foods that they're eating and how they can take care of themselves better at home, and just kind of giving them tools.
Right, right. And how do you make them understand? Because people look for very quick results, and Ayurveda will works differently.
Hmm.
How does do you bring, especially in the Western world where people there is everything fast, fast
Hmm.
transport, fast food, and fast outcomes of everything. How does it work with Ayurveda in that setup?
Yeah. So the first thing I like to do is I like to remind clients how where they're at now, it took them a while to get there, right? So when we're making a true lasting healing change, it's going to take us a while to do that as well. So we almost have to break down the house that they built and then rebuild the house. And so if we're watching that and how you build a house, you have to start at a foundation and then you get to go up. So I try to do a lot of education, and I do a lot of follow-ups and sitting down with clients to help them to better understand their mind body type, their dosha, and help them to understand how it is and why it is that the things that they were choosing to do, eat, engage in the activities, whatever it is, and how it brought their imbalance. And so once you can understand how that created the imbalance, you can understand how to bring yourself into balance. Because a lot of people are coming in and they are, because we're talking about energy, right? So, like, when you're in one set of energy, you're going to continue to be that energy because it's just kind of like that becomes a repetition, right? So, I want, first and foremost, I help you become aware of what your repetition is. So then we look at that, we start to notice how it's making you feel, how waking up every day tired, having brain fog, whatever that is. So we look at that, and then we start to basically, I give you a whole wellness plan and a big blueprint, but then we start step by step. So I help them walk on the path, the journey. So we start to implement things in the beginning, such as like warm water with lemon and honey, some golden milk. Then we start to introduce the herbs. Then we're starting to do things like the breath work and the yoga work, and then the self care with the oils. So, because a lot of times clients will get their full wellness report and they're going to be like, well, where do I start? So that's where we go step by step. So I help them. My goal is to honestly help them to understand themselves and to understand their mind body type and understand where they started, how they got there, and how that was a process, and how the healing is going to be a process. And it's a big thing that I tell my clients is, if you think about it, it takes 9 months to grow a human being in order for the human being to be able to be allowed on this planet and live, right? So it's going to take at least, and that's the cellular structure of how things operate and make and move. So it's going to take us at least 9 months to truly see a difference as a whole being. So we kind of have to walk this route. And so I try to break it down in like 3 month segments, to help them move through their issues. But that's basically how I help them understand it, is like really looking at how the human being grows itself, the process of things, how it takes time. And I also do like to remind them too, you came in to see me because something wasn't working. You're getting that instant gratification. So again, I like to remind people that when you start to take the responsibility and you put the work in on your own healing, that will be something that you will always live off of. It's not something that you have to like take a pill and then hope that it works. You know what I'm saying? So I try to help them to really understand the whole process.
Absolutely, the whole process. Wonderful, wonderful. And now let's talk about cleansing energy. What is that as per you? I also want to understand, what you understand, so that, I can also make use of that cleansing energy. I don't know whether it's around me or not, but I would certainly like to have it within me, around me, wherever it is possible.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I wrote my book. So, Ayurveda honestly helped me to better understand that we don't just have a physical body. We have an emotional body, we have a mental body, we have a bliss body, we have a radiant body. We actually have 10 bodies. So, we have several different functions of our multidimensional function as a human being. We're not just this physical thing. And we can hear thoughts in our brains, we get thoughts, we can feel emotions, those types of things. And then there's this subtle layer, which is called our energy body, which is always engaging in our environment all the time. And this is often fueled with our breath. So, our breath is our energy body, it's our prana, it's our life force. And when we're breathing things in, we're not just breathing in oxygen, which is helping us to move in our brain and our lungs and stuff. We're actually breathing in the entirety of our environment and the entirety of everything that we're experiencing at that time. So, when I started to really look at environments that I was spending time in, I started to look at the energy of people that I was interacting with, and I started to look at the energy of myself. For example, I used to be very depressed and anxious. So a lot of spaces that I would go, because like attracts like, would make me depressed or anxious. Or I was spending time with people who were not like best for me and were making me anxious and depressed. So I started to kind of just really look at, after studying Ayurveda, looking and recognizing, okay, I have this energy body, I'm interacting in these places, I don't feel good, I'm anxious, I'm tired, I'm stressed. How can I help myself feel better? So I started to first and foremost work on my own internal energy. So I started to journal, look at things, get things out, spending time in nature. Gratitude saved my life in so many ways. I started just practicing gratitude because I was looking around and realizing all the things that I didn't like, and I was only fixating and focusing on those things. So when I started to practice gratitude, I started to realize, like, oh, I could be thankful for these things that I don't like. And then that slowly started to shift my mentality and slowly started to shift the way that I show up. So I started to cleanse my energy, taking cleansing baths, going out in nature, spending time in the natural world, putting your feet on the ground. It really makes a difference. Doing journaling, doing the gratitude, and I started to feel better. And I started to feel a lot better. And then I was easily able to change my diet. It was easier for me to start interacting with people that were more loving for me. It was easier for me to be drawn to environments that were going to bring out my joy and my happiness. So basically, once you start to take a step back from your life and like look at what is your constant state of feeling. So like when you wake up every day, are you like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get out of bed? Not because you're tired and you're cozy and it's like whatever, but like you feel this dread. So first and foremost, pay attention to that because that's the energy right there when that first time when you first wake up, that dread, say, is going to be the energy that you walk around with all the time. That's like your underlying energy. So when you start to recognize and realize, okay, what is causing this dread? I fixate a lot on what could go wrong. So I need to cleanse out what that energy is. So I need to spend time doing things that make me feel better, that make me feel lighter, that make me feel more grateful, that make me feel happier and joyful. And so once you start to introduce that new energy, slowly that will start to replace that other energy as you're using those practices to cleanse. So it basically just helps you to recognize how we are energetic beings first. Everything is going on in this energy realm. You can go to places, if it feels right or not to you. And if you go somewhere that doesn't feel right, you know that too. So it's like just basically paying attention to that. And it's an actual like process that is always going on all the time. And so, like, if you hang out too, another thing I like to bring up to help people better understand this is like, say you're hanging out with someone who is very emotional, right? And then you feel kind of like bogged down and tired after spending a lot of time with them because they were just very emotional and that energy got on you. And then you start kind of feeling anxious and emotional. That'd be a good time to cleanse. Maybe burning a little Palo Santo, taking a cleansing bath, going for a walk by yourself, whatever that is. That's going to help you cleanse your energy. It's going to help you have more power over how you operate. And then you're not going to carry that into whatever, because sometimes unconsciously we'll carry other people's stuff into our own stuff, even though it doesn't need to be in there because it's the energy kind of gets stuck to us. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
indeed, indeed, and so I wanted to ask you one thing that you talked about several bodies within our bodies around us, or where how we exist around our existence. Why do people most of the time only focus on the physical part of it, and they keep on, oh, I'm not looking good, Oh, even if you one is looking good and is already very beautiful, but they keep on focusing on that. Even and that leads to a lot of mental health issues, depression, and so many things. And then there is a whole industry which comes in, that okay, you use this product, that product, and you will come to look the best. How
Mhm.
does that? What would you like to tell about people, or to people who are good but are able to only look at the physical body part itself and not able to actually find what they actually have within themselves?
Mhm. That's actually a really great question. And it's been a journey of mine as well, to better understand my own why we do that. And I think that for us human beings, the physical is what can be seen. You know, you can see it, you can touch it, you can really like look at it. And that makes it easier to deal with. You know, it makes it easier to fix. But we all intuitively, on some level, know and understand that there's something inside of me that some people can't see, right? Like you're only hearing the voice that's coming out of my mouth right now, but I have so many other thoughts that I'm going on. Like there's a part of me that's like, am I saying the right thing? Is this okay? Am I like, how do I look on camera? Like, but I'm not. I just voiced those, but I wasn't voicing those, but those were still feelings and sensations that I'm having just being on this type of thing. So we all are having these internal experiences, but it's so much easier for us to make sense of the physical. So especially physical pain. That's one thing that I've started to learn is a lot of people who are in pain, it will start to actually show up physically. Like if they're in emotional pain, it'll start to show up in a physical way because it's easier for us to deal with that physical pain of like, ow, I can put something on this, there's a wound, I can clean it or whatever. It's hard for us to make sense of our emotional wounds or our mental wounds because they're not something that they can be seen. And that it's also something that not other people can see. It's only something that we can experience. So, in a lot of ways, I feel like our world itself needs to open up to the inner reality that's happening because our world itself, too, is very physical focused. It's very much like, okay, well, if you have a headache, take this pill and then keep going, go to work, go do whatever you have to do. So, it's we as a physical world only really pay attention to the physical. And honestly, I mean, we could really get into a lot of this stuff, but too, it's like even relationships when you get together, it's mostly physical based. It's little to do with like what is it that I can get from you? You know, like what is it that we can grow together in? What can I give to you? It's more about like, oh, that person's hot and that person's hot, might as well get together, you know? So a lot of it I think is just how we're taught and that it took me finding Ayurveda in my early 20s to really understand my inner world and giving myself permission to be a part of my inner world and understand my experience and understand that I have this emotional body and I have this mental body. And if I take care of them, my physical body actually falls right into alignment with that because I'm no longer storing heavy, dark thoughts or heavy, dark emotions or past experiences that are making my physical body not feel good. You know, like I said, with the sinus infections, I used to get those every single year. I started to really work on my emotional and my grief and my mental and my all these other things and doing the right things physically as well that ultimately led me so I don't have those issues. So I think that part of this is even outside of like the individual human itself and it's more of a world issue that we need to start opening into ourselves, our heart spaces and just like recognizing that we're all experiencing other things. You know, we're experiencing these emotions and that they are very, very real. And I think that if we start to give ourselves permission to be human in that way and to have our feelings because we're so cut off from our feelings, that we will start to see the world shift and we'll start to recognize and understand that energy comes first and that the physical is just a really cool part of being here, but it's not the only part of being here.
Absolutely, not the only part of being here. And so there is much to talk to you, Sydney, on all these topics. These are such great topics, and Ayurveda is the medicine of the not just humans but also the gods, and so there is so much down there to talk about. But then it is just one podcast, and
I
there is
know.
you yourself are a podcast host, and there are many podcast episodes there. So tell us about your podcast, uh, about the goddess and the medicine women, and also about the book, Cleans Your Energy, so that people know more about it and they can get hold of this and learn more about you, about what you do in Ayurveda.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually I have a book, so if you want to see this is what it
Yes,
looks like. It's called Cleanse
yes.
Your Energy. I don't know.
Can
Yeah,
yeah,
there it
just
is.
hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Let's keep on. Yeah, this is how it is. It will just. Can you put it sideways so that it does not cover your face? Yeah,
Well, I
just
can't because the camera's up
yeah.
here, but yeah.
Yes. This
There you
is
go.
better. This will make a good thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is it.
yeah.
Um, So that's my book, and that is where I basically outline what your energy body is. So kind of like how I just talked about the prana and how we're breathing, and I try to make it as practical and as easy to understand. I don't want to make it the super philosophical thing that like it's just this is what it is. This is how you can notice it in your body. This is how you can pay attention to it. This is how you'll feel if you are holding on to a lot of heavy dense energy, if your energy body's kind of bogged down or clogged. Like our physical body, we get clogged pores. Our energy body can also get clogged with things. So basically, like I go into explaining that outline of how to recognize your human body, kind of, but also kind of recognizing your energy body, how you can cleanse it. I give you 7 ways to cleanse it. These are the top ways that I use, and it seems very simple, but it works. And if you do it, especially if you do it consistently, that's the biggest thing here. You want to do these things consistently and kind of make them, and I adopt them as like a daily practice for yourself, and find that these will be the tools that you can really rely on. But they're just like a lot of it's like sage, Palo Santo, copal, burning those incense. Those are going to cleanse your actual physical, and also they tend to, like, the smell and the aroma calms your mind, helps your nervous system. There's actually a science behind it. And then for sage particularly, they've already started to do research that shows that it actually cleanses the bacteria in your environment. So it'll actually start to cleanse and clear the energy that's in your environment too. So spending time in nature, gratitude, understanding the power of intention. So when we're more intentional with our life too, our energy becomes more intentional and the direction of our life becomes more fulfilling. So I talk about those, and I talk about gratitude, and then I give you a little quiz in there at the end of the book that you can start to kind of figure out where your energy's at and what particular exercises that I put in there will help you. And then, like I said, this book is just kind of like an outline in a way, to help you better understand that. But then I kind of give you other avenues that you can go into if you're looking to go deeper into your healing process as well. But basically, I just want this information out there so people recognize and realize, like, that even small, simple things, they can start to take power back into their hands of their own energy in their life. So it's really amazing. I never thought I would write a book, but I just figured that this information has helped me and become so profound in my life, and completely from, like, I'm not even kidding. I used to be like, didn't want to be on this planet, to now I'm out here talking about stay on this planet. So it's like it's possible. You can cleanse your energy and you can completely shift the direction of your life by doing so. Um and then my podcast, which is called The Goddess and the Medicine Woman, I am a co-host, and then Melissa McHugh is my other host. And basically, we just have a lot of really in-depth conversations about the human experience. We'll have other people come on, similar to you. We interview really amazing people who are doing some awesome work in the world, healers, authors, spiritual advisors, whatever it is, really, just to be out there. Like, we had some really good speakers come on, like public speakers, just like talking about mental health awareness. And then we'll have our own sessions too, where we're just going into things like this. And I share my personal experience, she shares her personal experience, and we just really talk about what it means to be a human being in all of its lovely, ugly, imperfectly perfect mess that it is. And it's just been a lot of fun, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback, because it's a lot of people are finding it helpful. They're like, you're talking about topics that, like, I wish I could talk about with other people, and it's just really refreshing to hear. So I definitely encourage people, if they're looking for more support. Really, a big thing is we just wanted people to feel less alone and to feel more like it's okay to be a human being in this world. And so it's been really, really fun. So thank you for asking about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do people connect with you? What's the best way to know more about you, and also to know about the stuff that you are doing, and also to engage with you professionally?
Yes. So to engage with me professionally, it's best to go to my website, which is innerelementwellness.com. That's where my Ayurvedic spa is. I have the Panchakarma. I have resources to the podcast on there. I have resources for my book on there. And I even have a free 5-day gratitude course if you're looking to kind of just get started on your cleansing your energy and just kind of tap in and get yourself in a positive mindset. So there's a lot of things on there that will be tools and resources for people. Our the Goddess and the Medicine Woman podcast is on most platforms. It's on like Amazon, Apple, Spotify. You can connect with us there. And then I do have Instagram, which is Inner Element Wellness. We have the Goddess and the Medicine Woman podcast. And then I have a personal page, which is at Citarella, which is like kind of like my main thing. It's just me as a human being talking about what I do. So, but the best way to connect with me if you want to work with me is Inner Element Wellness.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's a wonderful evening to talk to somebody, a wonderful woman who was once searching for meaning in her own life. And today she is helping her clients uncover their authentic selves and step into their full power. This is such a wonderful thing to see. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.